What is up, guys? Welcome to another video. Dad Geeky guy here. So today I'll be covering some of the previews that or spoilers that was released for Monarch. So up to today, which is the 16th of April. So there's a total of 4 days of worth of spoilers we're gonna go through in this video. I'm gonna give you guys my thought, and let's just get started. So the first one we have here is Doomsday. So basically this is a specialization card, and it is a card for Levia or the Shadow Brood. I don't know much about broods though, but I kind of can give my opinion a bit on this. So let's take a look at this. So it's a specialization. You only can play Doomsday when there are 6 or more cards of Blood Depth in your banish zone. So basically what you have to do in order to play this card to have at least 6 cards of Blood Depth in the banish zone. Now, I already seen all of these cards, so basically I know what Blood Depth does. Blood Depth basically pays. You gotta pay lives as long as the Blood Depth is within your banish zone. So for each Blood Depth card that is within your banish zone, you're gonna lose 1 life. So in order to play Doomsday, so you gotta have 6 of these. So what occurs is you get to create Blasphemous, a Soul Harvester token. So we have not yet seen Blasphemous as of yet, but it's fine. Let's go to the second card. So as long as we don't know what Blasphemous is, we do not fully understand the impact of this card yet. So next we have Eclipse. So this is the specialization card for the second hero, which is Chain. So Chain, I guess you guys have already seen the artworks that involves him. Kind of reminds me of Viserai. That should be because he's a RuneBlade hero. Anyways, so this is another Shadow instant. So similar to Levia, this basically creates a Soul Reaper token. So for Levia, we create a Soul Harvester token. For this guy, Chain, we're creating a Soul Reaper token. So once we have not seen the Ursa yet for Chain, so similar to Blasphemous, so it's coming soon. Once again, this is Shadow instant. You just get played anytime. I think as long as you have 6 Blood Depth cards in your banish zone, you want to play this as soon as possible. You don't want to be losing too much life there. Next, we have Eclipse Existence. So whenever your attack hits a light hero, this turn you may banish a card in their soul. So for the Shadow heroes, they have the Blood Depth. For the light heroes, they have soul. And if you do, they lose 1 life. So basically what you're gonna do is banish their card and then let them lose life, and you have more life, you may banish an action card from your graveyard. So this is a way to create those Blood Depth that we talked about in the previous two cards. So this is another instant card. Blue, cost 0. So basically I guess this is a staple for the Shadow deck. But if you're not against light hero, you might want to sideboard this. It's useless against non-light heroes, I guess. So next we have the Tome of Torment. You're gonna play this out of the banish zone. You get to draw a card, and then once again a Blood Depth card. So have this in your banish zone, so it counts towards the token creation of either Blasphemous or Ursa. Next we have Tome of Divinity. You get to draw 2 cards. It's a yellow page and it costs 1. Pretty cheap, and it's an instant. You can draw 2 cards anytime during the turn, so that's interesting. This is a light instant, and if a card has been put into your hero's soul this turn, instead draw 3 cards. So you might want to play a card to put in the hero's soul and then draw 3, I guess. So this reminds me of Tome of Findal, where you draw 2, but this one draws 3 instead. You don't gain life, which is a bit different from the Tome from Findal. And we have Ray of Hope, another life instant. So these are some of the earlier cards that are released for the preview. And then attacks you control have +1, blah blah blah. Once again, this is something to counter the shadow guys. So this is sideboarded out if you are not against light heroes. Then the first hero ever to be spoiled, which is Levia, a Shadow Brood, blah blah blah. So we can see that her ability here is if a card with 6 or more attack has been put into your banish zone this turn, you get to basically you lose card you own lose blood depth during the end phase. So what happens is you don't lose life because the cards we own, including in the banished zone, doesn't have blood depth anymore. So you don't lose life. If that makes sense. And it's discarding 6 or more is basically a brute thing. So this is quite familiar. Shadow Brute, of course. And then we have the younger version for Blitz format, and then we have the Shadow of Blasphemer. So Blasphemer is the token for, wait, let me take a look. So he's the token for if I'm not mistaken, for Levia. Yep. So Shadow of Blasphemer, I guess it's related somehow. So you get to draw a card and discard a random card. If it's blah blah blah, it's very similar to how Brute plays. So you want to discard a card with 6 or more attack. So search your card for a blood depth. So this is another way to get your cards into the banished zone. So this card itself has a blood depth. So 2, 4, 6 is pretty okay. Nothing special. And if you notice, it doesn't have a block weight. So it doesn't block. So that's interesting. It's going full aggro here. So we have Endless Maw. So 6 for 3. And then let's say you have to banish 3 random cards from your graveyard. So this is another engine, if you can call it. In a way, you want to get those blood depth cards into your into your banish zone. So if a card, is it random? Yeah, it's random. So it's random. So you can't choose which card to banish though. So if a card with 6 or more is banished this way, gains +3. So imagine you have a huge graveyard. I guess you're just gonna flip them over and shuffle a bit and then let the opponent choose 3 random cards, I guess. Which includes your equipment though. If your equipment gets banished, you get nothing. It's kind of sad. So blood depth, this if goes into your banish zone, it counts towards the blood depth count. And then we have Convolution from the Bellows of Hell, another Shadow Brute action, another 3 random cards from the graveyard. So there's a pattern going on here. And then you also get to +3 and Dominate. If any of those cards has more than 6 base attack, and then you get to go again. So this basically is a buff for the cost of 2. And then we have Pulping. So the guys at my group really love this card. So this basically you draw a card and you discard a random card. And then if a card with 6 or more is discarded, it gains Dominate, which is pretty good because you get to draw a card, and also from there you're basically discarding another card. So you don't lose your hand count. And also, if it is defended by 2 non-equipment cards, it has Go Again. Less than 2 non-equipment. So let's say you block with only 1 card, it has Go Again. So you're forced to basically spend 2 cards in order to defend this card. But you might notice that it doesn't have a defense value. So this is a totally kind of geared towards those aggro, super aggro. So another card that is we have here is for the cost of 3, you're dealing 7 damage. Of course, this card exists in I think 3 variants, or yellow, blue, and then red. It blocks for 2 for 7. For me, this is, I guess, fine. So if it hits a hero, banish up to 1 card from their soul. So the wording here is a bit weird. It said banish it. I don't think you can banish a hero. I guess the card. So I'm a bit confused on the banish it wording. You guys let me know down in the comments below. And then it blocks for 2. I would prefer if this blocks for 3. I guess that's a bit too much. I'm not sure yet. It's a common though. So next we have a Spew Shadow. So we can choose an attack action card which costs 2 or more less in the banished zone. We can play this turn, and then if it attacks a light hero, it gains +2 once again. If you're not against a light hero, might want to sideboard this out. And gains +2, go again for the cost of 2. Alright, so basically you pay 2, and then you get to choose a card from the banished zone, and then you can play this turn. So that's pretty good actually. It's a good card. Also, it has the advantage of attacking +2 when you're attacking a light hero, so that's pretty good. So we have a Ghostly Visit here. So Blood Depth, another Blood Depth card. It is cost 1, block 3, 4, which is which is pretty good. You can play it right out of your banish zone, so that's an advantage. So we're getting into the generic here. So we have Rally the Rear Guard. So once per turn instant, so you can discard a card, it gains +3. So if you were to use this card for blocking, you block this card, I mean you block your opponent's attack too, and then you might want to bump it up to 5. You just basically have to discard a card, give it +3. I guess this card is kind of good in a way. So it is very similar to Reinforce the Line. So you're basically getting +3 in this case. Okay, let's go to the next one here. We have Soul Harvest. We have the Levia specialization. So it deals 3, blocks for 3. So you can only have 1 copy of this card. So I guess, right. So you get to banish 6 cards from your graveyard. It gains +1 for each card for Blood Debt. So you have 6 cards in your graveyard, banish 6 of them. And also this card plays really well with the first Doomsday card. So you want to have 6 cards in your graveyard. You lose 6 life, and then also if it hits the hero, they banish all cards from their soul. So this is basically a hard counter towards the light hero. And also they lose life equals to number of cards banished this way. So they might want to fully block this. Also it costs 6. If you're playing Levia, you would want to have 1 copy of this. It's a pretty good card. And then you have Mutated Mass, number card. So it's a Majestic card here. So it's a Blood Debt card again. You can play it from your banish zone directly. So you want to remove some card from your banish zone, you can directly play this. It also gains the attack and defense value equals to the number of cards in your pitch zone. So you want to pitch multiple types of value. Twice the number of cards in your pitch zone with different costs. So that's all this specific requirement there. So it really depends how you plan out. Okay. So also the defense value here. So the defense value too is determined by the number of cards in the pitch zone. Might need to take a closer look in that card. So we have Deep-Rooted Evil. So if you have a card with 6 or more has been put in your banish zone this turn, you may play it from your banish zone and a Blood Debt. So this is fine. It costs 3 and then defense for 0. No, I can't see any 6 or more put in there. So somehow if you were to put a 6 or more, then you can play it from the banish zone, but the previous card that uses to discard that 6 or more has to go again, so you can play this card. So it's a yellow for 3. I guess it's fine. The no defense here is really worrying. This is going like full aggressive without any defending. So you're gonna take all the damage. So you have to learn how to manage your life. So life is just a resource. So this is what James White is pushing towards. If you read one of the articles that were published by him, so he was very interested in pushing the idea of having life as a resource. So that's cool. So we have Boneyard Marauder. So this is kind of like a creature kind of thing. So to play this again, banish 3 cards from the graveyard. All this banishing is getting me pretty nervous because you are paying 1 life for each of the Blood Debt. So this is kind of like high risk, high reward kind of gameplay going on here for the Shadow Brood. So it blocks for 3, 6, and for the cost of 1, which is pretty good. But you have to remember the part where you have to banish 3 random cards. But it does play well if you build it around the Doomsday card, I think. Another one of those, Deadwood Drumbler. So you draw a card, then discard a random card. And if a card is 6 or more, discard it away, and then you get to banish card from the graveyard. I like this card. Pretty good actually. I like this card. So it attacks for 8 for the cost of 3, and you get to draw a card, then you discard a random card. This is a good card, I think. Yep, I like it. And then we have Dread Screamer. Another banish 3 random cards from your graveyard. So if you play this effectively, you can basically banish 6 cards from your graveyard in a single turn, because this Dread Screamer here has go again. Interesting. So, but you don't want those Blood Depth to stay too long in your banish zone, because you're basically losing life for each of those. Next you have Tear Limb to Limb. Draw a card, then discard a random card. If 6 or more discarded this way, the next Brute attack. So this is a new Brute action, so Rhina is gonna love it. So +3, where X is the base. So this is actually very good actually. The next equally +2, X is the base. 6. Okay, so once again, this card doesn't have a defense value, so you play this, you hope that you discard 6 or more, and then the next card you play is get 6 or more. So that's the idea there. Also, it draws a card, then discard a random card. I love it. I love any card that basically lets you draw a card before discarding any card. So we have Surging Militia here. Surging Militia has +1 for each non-equipment card defending it. So this is a card I think has its uses in the late game, where you're basically forcing your opponent to use their equipment in order to block, because you don't want the card to get the buff of +1. Also, it blocks for 2. Man, it has its uses, but I don't think you want to see this card early in the game. It costs 2 and it attacks for 5. It doesn't have go again and it blocks for 2. It has its uses, but not in the early game, I think. So next we have Ebonfold. Also, this equipment basically reveals a new mechanic here called Spell Void 2, which is very similar to Blade Break. And also the uses here: instant pay 1 cost, destroy it, banish a card from your hand. So if it's a shadow card, draw a card. So you get to choose what card you want to banish. So that's one use there. And then we have the first weapon reveal here, which is a flail. So we have a sword previously, we have a club hammer, those type of weapon we have it, but this is the first flail weapon we ever seen. So we have Hexcore, the Death Hydra. So this is a Shadow Brew weapon, so Rhina can't swing this. So this is especially for Levia here. So when you attack, if it with this minus the number, so you have to ensure that you have some blood depth, at least 6 blood depth in your banish zone before you swing with this weapon. So this is very heavy towards having the blood depth in your banish zone. So we have a new brute weapon here, which is an axe. So that's interesting. So we have the first axe here. It costs 2 to attack. And also, if you were to attack with this card, you have to draw a card, then discard a random card. So if a card with 6 or more attack, then it gains +2. So basically a potential for 5 if you have the proper discarding done for you. And then we have Hoof of a Shadow Beast. So all these equipments are common except for the Hexagore, which is a amp. Hoofs of the Shadow Beast, I guess they are going with the trend of having Majestics as equipment instead of Elves for the equipment. So we have Hoofs of the Shadow Beast. So you have 6 or more, put in you may destroy and then gain 1 action point basically whenever a card is discarded. Put into your banish zone. You basically gain 1 action point. So this is a free go again if you discard the correct card. And also it's Battle Worn. So that's useful actually. Battle Worn is pretty good. You don't want your equipment destroyed like the other mechanic called the Temper. So I prefer Battle Worn always. So we have Memorial Ground. So this is a card which I really like. It's an instant. Also you get to put a card, attack action card with a cost of 2 or less from your graveyard on top of your deck. So basically any card with the cost of 2 can benefit from this, but the guys at my playgroup, they like to talk about Command and Conquer. So me too, I love having multiple turns playing Command and Conquer. So playing this during your opponent's turn to ensure the next card you draw is the card you want with the cost of 2 or less. That's what you want, guys. It's an instant, you can play it anytime. Okay, so we go into our first RuneBlade weapon, which is the Dread Sights. So basically you have to pay 3 costs in order to attack. You deal 1 arcane damage, so you don't have to have Rune Chant token because this is suited for Chain, because Chain doesn't create Rune Chant tokens, Viserai does. And but Viceroy can use this weapon because it's a RuneBlade weapon though. So there's a meme for this weapon because what it says is basically it deals 1 arcane damage. So for the cost of 3, you're basically dealing 3 plus 1. So 3 physical, 1 arcane. So any hero that is dealt, it can gain life during the next action phase. So it has a built-in Reaping Blade ability. So there's a joke going around where it is basically a Grasp of the Arknight activation plus Reaping Blade. So basically it has the similar effect, but Reaping Blade has a more consistent effect where they can't, for the whole game, they can't gain any life more than you. But the Dredge side, what's the advantage it has is they can't gain life at all. Remember, Reaping Blade only allows them to gain life if they have less life than you. So that's pretty interesting. So it really depends how you want to play this, but I still like Reaping Blade more. Tell me what you guys think. So we have Galaxy Black. A special weapon for Chain it is a Shadow RuneBlade weapon. If it hits a hero, then deal 1 arcane damage. So that's pretty cool. +2. So if you play a card from your banish zone, +2 until the end of the turn. So potential for 3 for the cost of 1. So they are forced to block this, or else they have to take another damage. So basically this blade is okay in a sense that even though you don't get the +2, you just swing this weapon, you're basically dealing 2 damage for a cost of 1 if they do not block it. Next, we have Aether Iron Wave. It's a RuneBlade equipment. You basically destroy this to gain extra resource points. So you can only destroy this if you have played any attack action and non-attack action. So you get to go again. And also it's a battle worn, so that's okay, I guess. So the precondition there, you have to remember that you have to play an attack action or non-attack action. So between this and Blood Sheath Skeleton, I still like Skeleton more because it basically discounts every attack and non-attack action. Of course, it's a common equipment. It's an unfair comparison, but so the next one we have the Soul Shackle. So at the beginning of your turn, action phase, banish the top card. So as long as you have this token in play, this aura here for Shadow RuneBlade, you're basically banishing a bunch of cards if you create too much of these tokens. So we have Vexing Malice. I love this card so much because it basically costs 1 for 5. You're dealing 3 physical, 2 arcane, and also it blocks for 3. I love cards that block for 3. So that's pretty good. Now let's take a look at Chain because let me take a look. So Chain, Bound by Shadow. That's basically the hero's name. What you do is create one action. It is a once per turn action. You get to create a Soul Shackle, and your next RuneBlade or Shadow action this turn basically gains go again. So one of the benefits I see by playing this Soul Shackle, you don't want to do this often because remember the token itself basically banishes the top card of your deck, and what it does is basically give your RuneBlade action go again, Shadow or RuneBlade. So one of the benefits you can do is basically read the runes to create those rune chant tokens, then create this Soul Shackle, then read the runes to get 3 rune chant tokens and then attack. That's one of the cards that I can see the benefit of. You can even play this with Rune Blood Barrier to give it go again, or more appropriately you might want to play this with the new Shadow RuneBlade cards. Alright guys, that's it for the preview at least. So there's a few more cards to be revealed. I have not got into that yet, so I'm at least as of recording of this video, there's a few cards to be released for today. Anyways, that's the card I'll be covering, guys. It's about 25 minutes video, I guess. It's pretty long. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I will put the link to my Twitter down in the description below. Feel free to follow. I tweet about Flesh and Blood stuff. I just created the account so you guys can follow it. There's more update to come, and subscribe, share the user stuff, guys. Do people still share videos? I don't know. Thank you very much for watching, guys. See you guys in the next one.